Every winter for 7 years, Vera has ventured into wolf territory to nurse starving beasts with her own body, never questioning why her milk flows for creatures that should terrify her. When the pack's mysterious alpha transforms before her eyes, revealing himself as Torben, a man cursed to become the very wolf she's been feeding, she discovers that her acts of mercy have been saving not wild animals, but her own shapeshifter neighbors. But if love can break curses, why does choosing him threaten to trap them both forever? Snow fell like tiny stars as Vera wrapped her thick coat around her body. The wind bit at her face, but she didn't turn back. She never turned back. Not when winter came calling with its hungry mouths and desperate eyes. "Mama's coming," she whispered to the dark forest ahead. The words felt strange in her mouth. She had no children of her own, yet every winter her body knew what to do. Milk came without a baby to feed, heavy and warm against her chest. The path through the pine trees was narrow and steep. Ice made her boots slip with each step. Most people from her village would never walk this way, especially not at night. They said wolves lived in these woods. Big ones, dangerous ones. But Vera had been walking this path for 7 winters now, ever since her husband died and left her alone in their small house by the mountain. Ever since the strange dreams started. Dreams of golden eyes and silver fur, of creatures that called to her in voices she couldn't hear but somehow understood. The clearing appeared between the trees like a secret room. Moonlight made the snow sparkle like diamonds. Vera sat on the old stone that had become her special place. It was smooth from years of weather, just the right height for what she needed to do. She didn't have to wait long. They always knew when she came. The first wolf stepped from the shadows, like smoke given shape. His coat was silver white, beautiful and thick. His eyes were the color of storm clouds, intelligent in a way that made her heart skip. He was huge, bigger than any normal wolf should be. When he stood on his back legs, he would be taller than most men. But he moved toward her with careful steps, head low, like he was asking permission, like he understood how precious this gift was. "Hello, old friend," Vera said softly. She opened her coat and lifted her dress. The cold air made her skin prickle, but warmth spread through her chest. Her body was ready. It was always ready for them. The big wolf came closer. His nose touched her skin, gentle as a whisper. Then he began to feed, and Vera felt the familiar peace wash over her. This was right. This was what she was meant to do. More wolves appeared from the darkness. A smaller one with brown and black fur, young, maybe born last spring. An older female with scars on her muzzle. Others she had seen before, faces she knew like family even though they had never spoken. They took turns, never fighting, never pushing. Always respectful, always grateful. The big silver wolf made sure the youngest ones ate first, then the mothers, then himself last of all. It was like watching a human family share dinner, except these weren't human at all. Or were they? Sometimes Vera caught something in their eyes that made her wonder. The way they looked at her wasn't just hungry, it was knowing. Like they understood more than animals should. Like they wanted to tell her something important but couldn't find the words. Tonight felt different. The big wolf's eyes stayed on her face longer than usual. His ears twitched, like he was listening for something. The other wolves seemed nervous, looking over their shoulders at the dark trees. "What's wrong?" Vera asked, though she knew they couldn't answer. "What is you all scared?" The silver wolf pulled back from feeding. He stood tall, head high, sniffing the air. A low growl rumbled in his throat. Not at her, never at her, but at something else. Something dangerous. The other wolves gathered closer to Vera, forming a circle around her like bodyguards. Their bodies were tense, ready to fight or run, but none of them left her side. Then she heard it. Voices carrying through the cold air. Men's voices, angry and getting closer. "She's up here somewhere." The voice was rough, mean. "Crazy woman thinks she can feed demons and not face God's judgment." Vera's blood turned to ice. Brother Marcus, the new priest who had come to their village last month. He had been asking questions about her, watching her house, telling people she was doing devil's work. "Find her," another voice shouted. "The witch must burn before she brings more evil to our mountains." The wolves pressed closer to Vera. The big silver one stepped in front of her. teeth showing white in the moonlight. He would fight for her. They all would. But men with fire and iron could hurt them badly. "Go," Vera whispered, standing up and fixing her clothes. "Run. I'll be fine." But the silver wolf didn't move. His storm-colored eyes met hers, and for just a moment, she could swear she saw something impossible there. Not just animal intelligence, but human worry, human love. The voices were getting closer. Torches flickered between the trees like angry stars. Vera's heart pounded as she realized the truth. She had been hiding from herself for 7 long winters. These weren't just wolves. They couldn't be. No animal could understand so much, care so deeply, organize themselves so perfectly. But if they weren't animals, what were they? And why did they need her so desperately every winter, then disappear completely when spring came? The torches disappeared back down the mountain, but Vera couldn't sleep. She sat by her kitchen window, watching the forest edge, thinking about storm-colored eyes that seemed too human to belong to any wolf. Morning came gray and cold. Snow had covered the wolf tracks from the night before, making everything look clean and new. But Vera felt anything but clean. Her mind was full of questions that had no good answers. She was hanging laundry on the line behind her house when she heard footsteps crunching through the snow. Big footsteps, heavy boots, a man's walk. "Good morning." Vera spun around, nearly dropping the wet shirt in her hands. A stranger stood at the edge of her yard, tall and wide across the shoulders, with gray-streaked brown hair and a thick beard. He wore simple clothes like a woodsman, but there was something about the way he stood that seemed important, noble even. And his eyes were the exact color of storm clouds. "I'm sorry to bother you," the man said, his voice deep and careful. "My name is Torben. I was passing through and wondered if you might have some work for me. Chopping wood, fixing things. I can pay with game from hunting." Vera's heart hammered in her chest. She had never seen this man before, but something about him felt familiar. The way he held his head, the careful way he moved, and those eyes. "I don't get many visitors up here," she said slowly, "especially not in winter. I keep to myself mostly. Live up in the high mountains." Torben gestured toward the peaks above the tree line. "But I heard there was a woman here who helps creatures in need. I wanted to meet her." "Helps creatures?" Vera's mouth went dry. "The wolves." Torben's eyes never left her face. "I've seen what you do for them. Every winter, 7 years now." The wet shirt fell from Vera's hands into the snow. "You've been watching me?" "Not watching. Protecting." Torben stepped closer, and she caught his scent. Pine trees, fresh snow, and something wild underneath. "Those men last night. They want to hurt you for your kindness. That's not right. How do you know about last night?" Instead of answering, Torben knelt and picked up her dropped shirt. He shook the snow off and handed it to her, their fingers touching for just a moment. His skin was burning hot, like he had a fever. But his touch felt good, safe in a way that made no sense. "You should stop going to the forest," he said quietly. "It's dangerous now. The new priest is stirring up the village people, making them afraid. Those wolves need me." The words came out fiercer than Vera meant them to. "They'll starve without help. And you'll burn if they catch you." Torben's voice was rough with emotion. "Is feeding wild animals worth your life?" "They're not just animals." The truth burst out before she could stop it. "I see the way they look at me, the way they understand. They're more than wolves, aren't they?" Torben went very still. His eyes searched her face like he was trying to decide something important. "What makes you think that?" he asked carefully. "Everything. The way they act, how they take turns and never fight. The big silver one with the gray eyes, he watches me like he knows me, like he cares about more than just food. And if they were more than animals? If they were people trapped in wolf bodies by some curse or magic, would that change how you feel about helping them?" Vera stared at him. No normal person would ask such a question. No normal person would even think it possible. "Are you telling me they're cursed humans?" "I'm asking what you would do if they were. I'd help them even more." She didn't have to think about the answer. If they were people, trapped and suffering, unable to ask for help. Of course I'd do everything I could. Something changed in Torben's face. Relief, maybe? Or hope? Even if helping them put you in terrible danger? Even then, they stood looking at each other across the snowy yard. Questions hung in the cold air between them like frozen breath. Vera felt like she was standing at the edge of a cliff, about to jump into something that would change everything. "The silver wolf," she said suddenly. "He has the same color eyes as you." Torben's jaw tightened. "Does he?" "Exactly the same. Storm gray. And you move like him too. Careful. Strong. Like you're used to being the one everyone else looks to for protection. You notice a lot. 7 years of watching teaches you things." Vera stepped closer. "Who are you really, Torben? And why do I feel like I've been waiting my whole life for you to show up at my door?" Before he could answer, shouts erupted from the village below. Angry voices carrying up the mountain on the wind. Someone was yelling about demons and witches and God's holy fire. "They're coming for you," Torben said, his whole body going tense. "Now, today, you have to run. I won't leave my home. Your home won't matter if you're dead." He grabbed her shoulders, his hot hands burning through her coat. "Listen to me. Go into the forest. Find the old cave behind the waterfall. Stay there until I come for you." "How do you know about the cave? How do you know any of this?" The shouts were getting closer. Vera could see torches moving up the mountain path. "Because I've been protecting you for 7 years," Torben said desperately. "Because you've been feeding me and my family every winter without knowing it. Because I love you more than my own life, and I can't let them hurt you." The world tilted sideways. Vera felt like she was falling even though her feet were still on the ground. "You're him," she whispered. "The silver wolf. You're him." Torben's eyes closed in pain. "I'm sorry. I never wanted you to find out this way. But they're coming, and I can't protect you in daylight. Not in this form." The torches were halfway up the mountain now, maybe 10 minutes away. But Vera wasn't thinking about Brother Marcus, or burning or running away. She was thinking about storm gray eyes and careful gentleness, and 7 winters of a love she had never understood. Until now, Torben's body twisted in the moonlight like he was fighting an invisible enemy. Vera watched in horror as his human skin rippled and stretched, bones cracking and reshaping with sounds that made her stomach turn. But instead of screaming in pain, his face showed relief, like he was finally coming home after a long, hard journey. The silver wolf that emerged was massive, bigger than any wild animal she'd ever seen. Those storm gray eyes were the same ones that had looked at her with such deep sadness just moments before. This was her alpha, the first wolf who always came to drink from her, the one who had been watching her for 7 winters. "You're him," she whispered, her voice barely louder than the wind through the pine trees. "You're all of them, aren't you?" Around the clearing, other shapes moved in the shadows. People she recognized stepped forward: young Marcus, who worked at the blacksmith shop, Elena, who baked the best bread in town, old Henrik, who lived alone on the mountain. One by one, they began to change. Their human forms melted away like snow in spring, revealing the wolves she had been feeding all these years. Vera's legs felt weak. She sat down hard in the snow, her mind spinning. But why? Why didn't you tell me? Torben padded closer, his massive head lowering until it rested near her hands. When he spoke, his voice was different, deeper, rougher, like it was coming from somewhere far inside his chest. "We wanted to. Every single night. We wanted to tell you the truth." "Then why didn't you?" Tears burned her eyes in the cold air. "I've been giving everything I have to help you. My body, my strength, my health. The whole village thinks I'm crazy." Marcus, now a brown wolf, with kind eyes, whined softly. "The curse won't let us change back during winter months. From the first snow until spring, we're trapped like this. We can't work, can't buy food, can't take care of ourselves. We would have died that first winter if you hadn't come." Elena's gray wolf form moved closer. "We tried to stay away, tried to hunt like regular wolves, but we're still part human inside. We can't kill like animals do. We were starving. And then you appeared," Torben said, his eyes never leaving Vera's face, "like an angel, offering exactly what we needed to survive." Vera stood up slowly, her mind racing with questions. How long has this been happening? The curse, I mean. 8 years, old Henrik answered. His wolf form was smaller than the others, with white around his muzzle. A stranger came to our village. We turned him away, refused to help him when he asked for shelter. He was angry, said we'd learn what it meant to need help and not receive it. But we did receive it, Marcus said, looking at Vera with grateful eyes. We received it from you. The wind picked up, sending snow swirling around them. Vera pulled her cloak tighter and tried to understand everything she was learning. For 7 years, she had felt called to help these creatures. Her body had responded to their need in ways that seemed impossible. Now she knew why. Are there others? Other people in the village who know? She asked. The pack exchanged worried looks. Torben's ears flattened against his head. Some suspect. They see us disappear every winter. They notice we're all thin and tired when spring comes. But no one has proof. Until now, Elena said quietly. Brother Aldrich arrived in town 3 days ago. He's asking questions about you, about the wolves, about strange happenings in winter. Vera's blood went cold. Brother Aldrich was a witch hunter, famous throughout the northern villages for finding and destroying what he called unnatural corruptions. If he was here, asking questions about her, he thinks I'm a witch, she said, the words falling like stones into still water. We won't let him hurt you, Torben growled, his massive form tensing with protective anger. You saved us. Now we'll save you. But even as he said it, Vera could see the problem. They were wolves now, strong and fierce, but still just animals to anyone watching. During the day, they would be human again, but Brother Aldrich would be looking for them. He would ask questions, investigate, maybe even follow them to discover the truth. There's something else, Marcus said, his voice heavy with worry. The curse is getting stronger. Each year, it's harder to change back when spring comes. We stay wolves longer, remember being human less clearly. What does that mean? Vera asked, though she was afraid of the answer. It means we're running out of time, Torben said. If we can't break the curse soon, we'll lose our human selves completely. We'll become real wolves, wild and mindless. We won't remember you, or our families, or who we used to be. The clearing fell silent except for the sound of wind in the trees. Vera looked around at the pack, her pack, she realized. These people who had become so important to her without her even knowing they were people at all. How do we break it? She asked. We don't know, Elena admitted. We've tried everything. Prayer, magic, bargaining with other strange folk who might know about curses. Nothing works. Maybe the answer isn't breaking it, Vera said slowly, an idea forming in her mind. Maybe the answer is understanding it. The curse came from rejection, from not helping someone who needed it. But you've been helped. I've been helping you for 7 years. That's true, Henrik said, his old eyes brightening with hope. The curse said we'd learn what it meant to need help and not receive it. But we have received help. So why hasn't it ended? Marcus asked. Torben's head lifted, his ears perking up as if he heard something in the distance. Because Brother Aldrich is coming. And if he destroys our helper, if something happens to Vera, then we'll truly know what it means to need help and not receive it. Through the trees, they could all see lights moving, torches carried by many people, getting closer to the clearing where they stood. They're coming for me, Vera whispered, understanding washing over her like cold water. The torches looked like angry stars cutting through the darkness as they moved closer through the forest. Vera's heart hammered against her ribs as she counted them at least 20 people from the village, led by the dark shape of Brother Aldrich in his black robes. Run, Torben commanded, his wolf voice urgent and sharp. Go now while there's still time. But Vera shook her head, even as fear made her hands tremble. Where would I go? This is my home. These are my people. Not anymore, Elena said sadly, her gray ears pressed flat against her head. Look at how they carry their torches. Look at their faces. They're not coming to talk. Vera could see it too. The villagers she had known all her life moved like hunters, tracking dangerous prey. Mrs. Helga, who used to bring her fresh eggs, young Peter, whose broken arm she had helped tend last summer, Tom the merchant, who always saved the best apples for her, all of them walking with purpose toward her hiding place. Vera, Nordström. Brother Aldrich's voice boomed through the trees, making several of the wolves flinch. We know you're out there. Come forward and face the judgment of God and good Christian folk. The pack formed a protective circle around her, but Vera pushed through them. I have to go. If I don't, they'll keep searching. They might find you. They'll kill you, Marcus said, his brown eyes wild with worry. Witch hunters don't ask questions first. Maybe they won't. Maybe I can explain. But even as she said it, Vera knew it wasn't true. How could she explain 7 years of feeding wolves without sounding exactly like the witch they thought she was? There has to be another way, Torben said, pacing back and forth like a caged animal. We could fight them, drive them off. And prove you're demons? Vera shook her head. That would make everything worse. The lights were getting closer now. Through the trees, she could hear Brother Aldrich's voice leading the others in prayer. O Lord, give us strength to cleanse this corruption from our midst. Let the fires of righteousness burn away the evil that has taken root among us. Fire. They had brought fire to burn her. Listen to me, Vera said, looking each wolf in the eyes. Stay hidden. Don't try to save me. If the curse is going to be broken, it won't be through violence. You don't understand. Torben moved to block her path. Without you, we'll die. Not just from hunger, from despair. You're the only good thing that's happened to us in 8 years. Then trust that good things don't end with fire, Vera said, though her voice shook with fear. Trust that 7 years of love has to count for something. She stepped away from the protection of the pack and walked toward the approaching lights. Behind her, she heard Torben's anguished howl, quickly silenced. The sound broke her heart, but she kept walking. I'm here, she called out when she reached the edge of the clearing. I'm here, Brother Aldrich. The witch hunter stepped forward, his thin face sharp with satisfaction in the torchlight. Vera Nordström, you stand accused of practicing witchcraft, of consorting with demons, and of bringing corruption to this godly village. I've harmed no one, Vera said, trying to keep her voice steady. I've only helped creatures that were hungry. Helped demons, shouted Mrs. Helga, her face twisted with fear and anger. My Henrik disappears every winter because of your dark magic. Vera's heart clenched. Mrs. Helga didn't know that her Henrik was one of the wolves she fed. The old woman thought her husband was under some evil spell, when really he was just trying to survive a curse that wasn't his fault. The wolves are not demons, Vera said carefully. They're just hungry animals. Animals that appear only where you go, Brother Aldrich said, moving closer. Animals that show no fear of humans. Animals that seem to understand your words. His eyes glittered in the firelight. Tell me, witch, what did you promise them in exchange for their service? I promised them nothing. I gave them nothing but milk to drink. Milk corrupted by your evil! Young Peter stepped forward, his face red with anger. My sister saw you bare your breast to feed monsters like they were human babies. Vera felt heat rise in her cheeks, but not from shame, from anger. And what crime is it to feed the hungry? What evil is there in giving life to creatures that might otherwise die? The crime of perverting God's natural order. Brother Aldrich raised his voice so all could hear. The crime of using your woman's body for unnatural purposes? The crime of drawing evil to our doors through your corrupt practices? The crowd murmured agreement, their faces hard and frightening in the dancing light of their torches. These people who had known her since she was a child, who had helped raise her after her parents died, who had mourned with her when her husband passed away, they looked at her now like she was something terrible and strange. Brother Aldrich speaks the truth? Called out Tom the merchant. Ever since you started your unholy feeding, our winters have grown harder. Crops fail, animals die, people get sick. That's not because of me, Vera protested, but doubt crept into her voice. Had her actions somehow made things worse for the village? Isn't it? Brother Aldrich smiled coldly. 7 years ago, you began your devil's bargain. 7 years of harsh winters, failed harvests, and strange disappearances. 7 years of our young men growing thin and weak, our livestock dying mysteriously, our children falling ill with wasting sickness. Vera's mind raced. Could it be true? Had feeding the cursed pack somehow drawn misfortune to everyone else? But no, the curse had existed before she started helping. The village's troubles weren't her fault. "You're wrong," she said, but her voice was quieter now. "The winters were harsh before I ever saw the first wolf. The sickness, the failing crops, those things happen naturally. Nothing about you is natural," Mrs. Helga screamed, tears running down her weathered cheeks. "Good Christian women don't produce milk without babies. Good Christian women don't wander in forests at night. Good Christian women don't cavort with beasts." The words hit Vera like physical blows. Everything Mrs. Helga said was true, in a way. Her body's response to the wolf's need was unnatural. Her nightly journeys were strange. Her connection to wild animals was not normal. But none of that made her evil. "I've lived among you all my life," she said, looking around at the angry faces surrounding her. "You know me. You know my heart. Have I ever harmed a child? Stolen from a neighbor? Spoken cruel words? Or wished ill on anyone?" For a moment, some of the faces softened. She saw recognition in their eyes. Memory of the woman they had known before, fear changed everything. Then Brother Aldrich spoke again, his voice cutting through the moment of doubt. "Evil is most dangerous when it wears a familiar face. Satan himself can appear as an angel of light." He raised his hand, pointing directly at Vera. "This woman has been seducing you with false kindness, while she slowly destroys everything you hold dear." "No," Vera said, but the crowd was nodding, fear winning over memory. "Tonight, we cleanse our village of this corruption," Brother Aldrich declared. "Tonight, we burn the witch and break whatever hold she has over the demons that plague us." They bound her hands with rough rope that cut into her wrists. They marched her back toward the village like she was a dangerous criminal instead of a woman who had spent her life helping others. And through it all, Vera thought about storm-gray eyes watching from the darkness, about the pack that would lose their only source of hope, about curses that fed on cruelty and rejection. As they reached the village square, where a pile of wood already waited for her execution, Vera wondered if love really was strong enough to overcome hate. She was about to find out. Vera's hands shook as she touched the cold stone walls of her prison cell. 3 days had passed since the village caught her feeding the wolves, and tomorrow they would burn her alive. The cell smelled like fear and old prayers, making her stomach twist with worry. "I should have run when I had the chance," she whispered to herself. But deep down, she knew she couldn't have left Torben and his pack to starve. Even now, locked away and waiting to die, she worried about them more than herself. Heavy footsteps echoed down the stone hallway. Vera looked up, expecting to see Brother Marcus with her last meal. Instead, a young girl slipped through the shadows. It was Anna, the baker's daughter, carrying a small basket covered with cloth. "Anna, what are you doing here?" Vera asked. "If they catch you helping me?" "My mother sent bread." Anna's voice was barely a whisper. "She remembers when you helped deliver my baby brother during the terrible storm 3 winters ago. She says you saved his life." Anna pushed the basket through the iron bars. Under the bread, Vera found a small metal file and a note written in shaky handwriting. "Some of us still remember your kindness. The north window faces the forest. At midnight, they change guard. A friend." Vera's heart pounded. Maybe she had a chance after all. But as Anna turned to leave, the girl stopped and looked back with strange golden eyes that seemed to glow in the darkness. "Tell me," Anna said in a voice that sounded older than her years. "When you fed us in the woods, did you ever wonder why we never hurt you? Why we came to you like lost children instead of hunting you like prey?" Before Vera could answer, Anna melted away into the shadows, leaving only the scent of pine trees and wild places. Hours later, as midnight approached, Vera worked the file against her chains. The metal scraped and sparked, each sound making her freeze with fear that the guards would hear. Outside her small window, snow began to fall again, thick and heavy, like a blanket covering the world. A low howl echoed from the forest, then another, and another. The sound sent shivers down her spine, but not from fear. These were her wolves, calling to her across the darkness. Somewhere out there, Torben was listening to her heart beat faster with each passing moment. The chain finally snapped, just as she heard new voices in the hallway above. Not the lazy talk of bored guards, but urgent whispers and the sound of weapons being drawn. Something was happening. Vera squeezed through the narrow window, dropping into the snow behind the church. The cold bit through her thin dress, but she forced herself to move. Every step toward the forest felt like coming home, even as shouts erupted from the building behind her. "The witch has escaped! Search every house! Block all the roads!" But they were looking in the wrong places. Vera wasn't running to the village or the main roads. She was running toward the one place where she had always felt safe, where golden eyes watched over her with love instead of fear. The forest welcomed her with open arms, pine branches parting like curtains as she stumbled through the snow. Her bare feet left bloody tracks, but she didn't stop. Behind her, torches flickered between the trees as the villagers began their search. A familiar scent reached her nose: pine, snow, and something wild and warm. Torben stepped out from behind a massive oak tree, but he wasn't alone. The entire pack stood with him, their eyes reflecting the moonlight like fallen stars. But something was different about them tonight. They stood taller, moved with purpose, and when they looked at her, she saw not just animal intelligence, but human emotion. "We felt your fear," Torben said, his voice rough with worry. "Every moment you spent in that cage, we felt it like knives in our hearts. We couldn't leave you there." "But how did you know where to find me? How did Anna?" Vera stopped, understanding flooding through her like cold water. "Anna is one of you. Half the village is one of us," Elena said, stepping forward. Vera recognized her as the woman who ran the flower shop, though now she saw the wolf in her graceful movements. "The curse doesn't just affect one family, Vera. It spreads through bloodlines, through marriage, through love. We've been hiding among the humans for generations. And you've been feeding all of us," added Marcus, the quiet man who fixed shoes in the village square. "Not just the full wolves, but the half-breeds, the ones who carry the hunger even in human form. Your gift calls to all of us." Vera stared at the faces around her. Neighbors, friends, people she had known her entire life, all of them carrying this secret, all of them bound together by something she had never understood. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. "Because knowing would have changed everything," Torben said. "You gave freely because you saw need, not because you felt duty. That purity, that choice to love without asking questions, that's what made your gift so powerful." The sound of dogs barking echoed through the forest, getting closer. The search party was tracking her scent through the snow. "They'll find us soon," Elena said. "We have to go deeper into the mountains, to places where humans fear to follow." But Vera shook her head. "I'm tired of running. I'm tired of hiding. If they want to call me a witch for feeding the hungry, then maybe it's time they learned what real magic looks like." The torches appeared through the trees like angry stars, getting brighter with each passing moment. Brother Marcus led the search party, his voice booming through the forest as he called for Vera's capture. Behind him marched 20 men from the village, carrying ropes and iron chains, their faces twisted with fear and hatred. "She's near," Marcus shouted. "I can smell the devil's magic on the wind. Spread out and surround her before she can cast her spells." Hidden in the shadows, Vera watched the men who had once been her friends prepare to drag her back to the fire. Her heart hammered against her ribs like a trapped bird, but she forced herself to stay calm. Everything depended on the next few minutes. "I need you to trust me," she whispered to Torben. "All of you. What I'm about to do will seem crazy, but it's the only way to save everyone." "Vera, no." Torben's eyes were wide with panic. "Whatever you're thinking, don't. We can fight them, we can run, but please don't sacrifice yourself for us again." "I'm not sacrificing myself," she said, stepping out into the clearing where the torches could find her. "I'm choosing my family." The search party froze as Vera walked toward them, her white dress bright against the dark trees. She moved slowly, hands visible, making no sudden movements that might cause them to attack. "There's the witch," someone shouted. "Grab her before she curses us." But Brother Marcus held up his hand, stopping the others. His eyes narrowed as he studied Vera's calm face, looking for tricks or signs of dark magic. "You're not running," he said. "Why aren't you running?" "Because I'm tired of being afraid," Vera replied. For 7 years, I've hidden my gift from people who wouldn't understand. I've pretended to be normal when I was born to be something more. But tonight, I'm done pretending." She spread her arms wide, and the moonlight seemed to gather around her like silver cloth. "You want to see a witch? You want to see real magic? Then watch and learn what love can do." Behind the trees, golden eyes began to glow. One by one, the pack stepped into view, forming a circle around Vera and the frightened villagers. But these weren't the wolves the men expected to see. These were creatures of power and grace, moving like liquid shadow, their forms shifting and changing between human and animal with each heartbeat. "Demons!" Brother Marcus screamed, raising his holy symbol. "She summoned demons to protect her." "Not demon," Vera said softly. "Family." What happened next would be remembered in the village for generations. Vera began to sing, not words, but sounds that seemed to come from the earth itself. The snow around her feet melted, revealing green grass that shouldn't exist in winter. Flowers bloomed in her footsteps, their petals glowing with inner light. The pack responded to her song, their forms settling into something between human and wolf. They stood upright but kept their fur, their claws, their shining eyes. They looked like the old stories come to life, like the forest gods that people had once worshipped before churches and holy books drove the old ways underground. "This is what you fear," Vera said, her voice carrying to every corner of the clearing. "Not evil, not darkness, but power that doesn't bow to your rules. Magic that chooses love over law, nature over civilization." One of the villagers, a young man named Peter, dropped his torch and fell to his knees. "I know you," he whispered, staring at Elena's transformed shape. "Elena, is that really you? But you sell flowers in the market. You help my mother with her garden." "I do both," Elena replied, her voice musical and strange. "Human and wolf, shopkeeper and hunter, friend and guardian. Why must I choose only one when I was born to be everything?" More torches fell as recognition dawned on frightened faces. These weren't monsters from the deep woods. They were neighbors, friends, family members who had kept impossible secrets. The baker who made their children's birthday cakes had golden eyes and silver fur. The doctor who delivered their babies could track a scent for miles through snow. "You've been living among us all along," Brother Marcus said, his voice shaking, pretending to be human while carrying the beast inside. "We are human," Torben said, stepping closer to Vera until their hands touched. "Just as we are wolves. Just as Vera is both woman and something far more powerful. The question isn't what we are, Brother Marcus. The question is what you're going to do about it." The standoff stretched like a bowstring, ready to snap. 20 frightened men with iron weapons faced a dozen creatures who could tear them apart without breaking stride. But Vera stood between them, one hand on Torben's fur, the other extended toward the villagers in a gesture of peace. "You can burn me," she said. "You can try to kill them. You can run back to your village and pretend this night never happened. Or," she paused, letting hope creep into her voice, "you can remember that love is stronger than fear. You can remember that different doesn't mean dangerous." Young Peter struggled to his feet, his eyes fixed on Elena's transformed face. "The night my daughter was born, when the storm was so bad the doctor couldn't come through, you helped deliver her, didn't you? You guided him through the snow when he would have been lost." Elena nodded. "Storm or sunshine, pack protects pack. Your daughter is pack, Peter. All the village children are pack, whether they carry the blood or not. And when the raiders came last spring," another man said slowly, "the ones who wanted to burn our grain stores, they ran after just one night. We thought they were cowards, but they smelled us," Marcus the shoemaker said with a slight smile. "Hard to raid a village when you know wolves are watching from every shadow." Understanding rippled through the group like water through stone. These creatures hadn't been hiding to hurt them. They'd been hiding to protect them. The very monsters they'd feared were the guardians who'd kept them safe for years. Brother Marcus was the last to lower his weapon. "This changes everything," he said. "The church, the laws, the way we see the world." "Laws change," Vera said gently. "Hearts change. Fear can become understanding if we're brave enough to let it. She looked around at all the faces. Human and wolf. Frightened and fierce. Familiar and transformed. The only question is, are you brave enough to see your neighbors as they really are? The first person to step forward was Peter, reaching out to touch Elena's fur-covered hand with trembling fingers. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm sorry we made you hide." And like dominoes falling, the others followed, weapons dropping into snow. As curiosity replaced terror, wonder took the place of hatred, and the village began to heal from wounds they hadn't even known were bleeding. The mountain shook like an angry giant when the curse started fighting back. Vera pressed her hands against the cave walls as rocks tumbled around them. Outside, thunder crashed, even though no clouds filled the winter sky. The curse didn't like being challenged. It had kept these people trapped for so long that breaking its rules made the whole world angry. "It's getting worse," Elena gasped, her body shifting between human and wolf without her control. One moment she had hands, the next she had paws. Her face stretched and changed back again, over and over. "I can't stop it." Marcus howled in pain as his bones cracked and reformed. The other pack members writhed on the cave floor, caught between their two forms. They looked like they were being torn apart from the inside. Torben's silver fur was streaked with blood, where his skin kept splitting and healing. His storm gray eyes found Vera's face. Even in wolf form, she could see his human thoughts. He was scared. Not for himself, but for her. "This is my fault," Vera whispered. She knelt beside him, her hands shaking. "You broke the curse's laws to save me. Now it's punishing all of you." The cave filled with another terrible sound, bones breaking and reshaping. The curse was trying to lock them forever as wolves, wild animals with no human memories. It wanted to erase who they really were, as payment for defying its power. "There has to be something I can do." Vera looked around desperately. 7 winters I fed you. 7 winters I gave you my strength. There must be more I can give. Torben managed to shift partially human. His voice came out rough and broken. "No, more. Sacrifice." But Vera wasn't thinking about sacrifice anymore. She was thinking about choice. The village had called her a witch for feeding wolves. Brother Aldrich had tried to burn her for loving creatures others feared. Everyone thought she was cursed too, in her own way. Maybe they were right. Maybe that was the answer. "What if I'm not saving you from the curse?" she said slowly. "What if I'm joining it?" Thunder crashed again, but this time it sounded different. Surprised, Vera stood up, her heart pounding, but her voice growing stronger. "You want to punish them for breaking your rules? Then punish me instead. I'm the one they saved. I'm the one who should pay." The cave fell silent except for the pack's labored breathing. Even the curse seemed to pause, listening. "But I won't be your prisoner," Vera continued, stepping toward the cave mouth where wind howled like a living thing. "I choose this. I choose them. I choose to become what they are. Not because you force me, but because love makes me willing." Elena stopped shifting. Marcus's bones settled into his human shape. One by one, the pack's torture ended as the curse focused all its attention on Vera. She could feel it studying her, testing her resolve. The curse had held these people for years by trapping them against their will. But Vera offered something it had never encountered. A human heart that wanted to transform. "You want to bind me to winter?" Vera smiled, thinking of 7 years spent feeding wolves in the snow. "I already am bound. You want to make me wild? I already am wild. You want to take my human life?" She looked at Torben, whose eyes were wide with understanding and fear. "I already gave it away the first time I fed your pack." The curse pressed against her mind like cold fingers, searching for fear or doubt. It found only certainty. "I love them," she said simply. "All of them. As humans, as wolves, as whatever they become. If being with them means becoming a wolf, then make me the best wolf I can be. If it means living only in winter, then give me the most beautiful winters ever seen. If it means giving up my old life completely." She paused, feeling the curse wavering like a candle in wind. "Then I'll build a better life with them." The mountain held its breath. The pack stared at her with wonder and terror. Even Torben had gone completely still. Then the curse laughed. It wasn't an evil sound exactly, more like surprise mixed with respect. The curse had spent so long fighting unwilling prisoners that it didn't know what to do with someone who walked willingly into its arms. You would become what they are? The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, like wind speaking through stone. You would take on their burden? Their burden is already mine, Vera replied. Has been for 7 years. I just didn't understand it yet. And if I change you, there may be no changing back? Vera looked at the pack, her family, her heart walking around in other bodies. They had suffered for her. They had risked everything for her. They had chosen her over their own safety again and again. Then I'll make sure there's no need to change back. The curse fell silent for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice held something that might have been admiration. Very well, willing heart. But know this, I do not give gifts lightly. What I offer will change more than your shape. It will change your very soul. You will become pack, truly and completely. Their nature will be your nature. Their instincts will guide you. Their needs will be your needs. Vera's smile grew brighter. Promise? I promise. The transformation began not with pain, but with warmth. Vera's new wolf eyes opened to a world painted in silver and gold. Everything looked different now. She could see heat signatures from the pack members around her, smell emotions in the air, like colors, hear heartbeats from miles away. Her body felt strong and wild and perfectly right, like she had been born to this form instead of struggling into it. Torben nuzzled her neck with his great silver head, a rumbling purr vibrating through his chest. In wolf language, he was saying welcome home, saying I love you, saying thank you for choosing us. She understood it all without needing human words. The curse had kept its promise, but not in the way anyone expected. Instead of trapping Vera, her willing choice had changed the curse itself. It no longer held the pack prisoner during winter months. Now they could shift whenever they wanted. Human in summer, wolves when the snow fell, or anything in between. The curse had become a gift instead of a punishment. How do you feel? Elena asked, her voice bright with joy. She was human-shaped now, but her eyes still held their wolf gold color. Vera tried to answer and discovered she could shift back to human form just by thinking about it. Her body flowed like water between shapes, settling into her familiar human appearance. But she felt different inside. Stronger, wilder, more complete. I feel like I've been waiting my whole life to feel this way, she said, laughing as Torben shifted to human form and swept her into his arms. The months that followed brought changes to the entire mountain region. The pack learned to live as both human and wolf, helping their neighbors during planting season and protecting travelers during winter storms. The village slowly accepted them, especially after Marcus saved a child from drowning, and Elena used her wolf-enhanced senses to find a lost hunting party. Brother Aldrich never returned, but word came that he had started preaching about love being stronger than fear. Some said his encounter with the pack had changed his heart completely. Vera and Torben built a cabin at the forest's edge, halfway between the human world and the wild places. She tended a garden in summer and ran with the pack through winter snow. Her life was full in ways she had never imagined possible. But the greatest change came the following spring. Vera discovered she was carrying a child, their child, born from the love between human heart and wolf soul. The baby would grow up belonging to both worlds, never having to choose between them. What will we name her? Torben asked, his hand gentle on Vera's growing belly. Somehow they both knew the baby would be a daughter. Luna, Vera said without hesitation. For the moon that watched over us when everything changed. They were sitting by the milkstone where Vera had first fed the starving pack 7 years ago. The worn rock had become a shrine of sorts, decorated with flowers in summer and candles in winter. Young couples from the village sometimes came here to pledge their love, believing the place held magic. They weren't wrong. Do you ever miss your old life? Torben asked, as they watched the sun set behind the mountains. Vera considered the question seriously. Her old life had been quiet and safe and predictable. She had been respected in the village, even if people thought her slightly odd for living alone. She had never gone hungry or feared for her safety. But she had also never felt truly alive until she started feeding wolves in the winter forest. "I miss parts of it," she said honestly. "I miss not worrying about whether the pack has enough food. I miss sleeping through the night instead of waking up to check on everyone. I miss having simple problems with simple answers." She paused, watching a hawk circle overhead. "But I don't miss feeling empty. I don't miss wondering what my purpose was. I don't miss loving from a distance and never being truly known." She turned to smile at Torben. "I was surviving before. Now I'm living." As if summoned by their conversation, the pack emerged from the forest for their evening gathering. They did this every day now, came together as the sun set to share news, resolve conflicts, and simply enjoy each other's company. It was part human family dinner, part wolf pack bonding, and entirely their own tradition. Luna kicked in Vera's belly as if she could already sense her extended family approaching. Vera laughed and placed both hands over the movement. "She's going to be a strong one," Elena predicted, settling beside them in wolf form. "I can smell it on her already. Strong and stubborn, just like her parents," Marcus added with a grin. As darkness fell and the first stars appeared, the pack settled around the milkstone in a comfortable circle. Some remained human, others shifted to wolf form. A few chose shape somewhere in between. They shared stories of their day. Marcus had helped repair the village mill. Elena had tracked down sheep stolen by actual wild wolves. Torben had negotiated a trade agreement with the neighboring valley. Vera listened to their voices, mixing together, human speech and wolf sounds, creating a language only they understood. This was her family now. These were her people. This strange, wonderful, impossible group of cursed then blessed shapeshifters who had taught her that love didn't have to make sense to be real. "Thank you," she whispered into the night air, not sure if she was talking to the curse, the pack, Torben, or the wild forces that had brought them all together. The mountain wind carried her words up to the stars, where they joined all the other grateful prayers spoken by people who had found their way home against impossible odds. In the distance, a wolf howled, not one of their pack, but a wild creature singing to the moon. The pack lifted their voices in answer, human and wolf voices blending in ancient harmony. Vera added her own voice to the song, and for the first time in her life, she sounded exactly like she belonged.